Good morning. I'd like to call the meeting together for the Board of Public Works and Safety for August 28th, 2024. Let's start this meeting by doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May we have a roll call to confirm quorum?
Member Green,
Present.
Member Allen,
Present.
Vice President Dumas,
Present.
President Suggs.
Present.
Mr. President, we have 4 present, 1 absent.
With 4 members here, we have quorum and a legal meeting. We can continue. Let's move on to item number 3, the minutes, approval of minutes for August 21st, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the minutes will be approved from the meeting on August 21st, 2024. Any questions on that motion? Hearing no questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The minutes have been approved. Let's move.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
If I may, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda. We have a few items. I'll just list them all. Contract for BT Video Systems, LLC. Contract for Perimeter Security, Inc. Acceptance of Airport Road Improvement Project Plans. No Limit Living, Imani Ellis ARPA Grant. Love Your Block Subaward. IAFF Attorney and Lewis Brown Settlement. And then Greyhound Lease Agreement. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include these 7 items.
It's a motion on the floor. Can I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval of the amended agenda?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
we have Secretary Morgan, who's now here.
Yes.
All right. Vice President Dumas
Yes.
and President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 against, the agenda has been amended to include the additional 7 items. Let's move on now to item number 4 on the agenda.
Mr. President, we have before us the claims to be paid on August 30th, 2024. General fund is $123,299.78. Special revenue funds, motor vehicle highway, local roads and streets, park department, health and human services, healthy family grant, ESG grant, green urbanism grant, HIV prevention grant, tourism project, do it nonprofit, reverting fund, park construction, community capital improvements, and workers' comp and unemployment benefits total $195,453.41. And for our Bank 10, ambulance non-reverting public safety, ARPA grant, LDA casino, market park, fire pension fund, police pension fund, and redevelopment non-reverting, $592,368.48. Total to be paid is $911,121.67.
Can I have a motion to approve the payment of claims for August 30th, 2024?
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this motion? May we have roll call for approval?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With 5 in favor and 0 against, the motion carries for payment of claims on August 30th, 2024.
We also have before us ratification of payroll and claims. Ratification of payroll for August 23rd is $2,389,076.03. Ratification for the summer youth payroll is $96,711.49. And ratification of claims are $7,644.09, and pension payroll $784,088.70.
Have a motion to approve the ratification of claims and payroll.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to pay ratification of payroll and claims. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval, please?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 against, the ratification of payroll and claims have been approved. Let's move on to item number 5, correspondence and agreements.
Yes, Mr. President, we have correspondence from the Public Works Department. The first correspondence is an amendment to the contract for professional services for True Green Commercial. True Green Commercial is to remediate overgrown vegetation that is growing through the meridians on Birch Street from 26th Avenue to 29th Avenue. Public Works is currently existing contract with True Green Commercial for $21,120. This service will add only $880 to the existing contract, which is within the ability and range in which they can add. The 2 treatments that they're going to do is for the months of September and October to completely kill off the weeds. At this time, I will move to approve the amendment of the contract for True Green Professional Services.
There's a motion on the floor to amend the contract for True Green with an additional $880. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this motion? May we have roll call for approval, please?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 opposed, the True Green commercial contract additional amount of $880 have been approved.
The next correspondence for the Public Works Department, Mr. President, is the contract for professional services, Midwest Electric LLC. Midwest Electric currently has an existing contract with the Public Works Department for $40,000 to repair street and traffic lights throughout the city that may become damaged by vehicles and or storms. However, the Public Works Department has less than $300 left on that current purchase order and would need to extend an additional $15,000 to the contract to ensure repairs can be made through the remainder of the year. At this time, Mr. President, the request is or the motion is to extend an additional $15,000 in contracts for the remainder of 2024 for Midwest Electrical LLC.
There's a motion on the floor to extend the contract for Midwestern Electric LLC from $40,000 an additional $15,000. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this motion?
Yes, Mr. President, is this a new contract or an amended contract?
It's an amended contract. Wait. Let me see. No, it's a new contract.
It's a new
I apologize. It's a new contract dated for August 28th, if approved and effective. And again, it will be only for the $15,000, but we want to make sure that it's noted they had a contract for $40,000 for 2024.
Okay.
Any additional discussion? May we have roll call for approval?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 against, the contract of $15,000 to extend the agreement with Midwestern Electric LLC of $40,000 has been approved.
Mr. President, next request is from the Public Works Department, just permission to advertise for snow removal contracts for the beginning of the winter for the end of 2024 and carrying through the beginning of 2025. This is just a permission for the Public Works Department to advertise for bid for contracts. At this time, I would like to move to allow for Public Works to advertise for snow contractors for 2024-2025 winter season.
There's a motion on the floor to allow Public Works to advertise for the advertisement of snow removal for the 2024-2025 winter season. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this matter?
Yes, Mr. President. Typically in the past, I know this is done in October. We're trying to do our best to get completely in front of the season, well in advance, which we appreciate our Public Works Department to do, so that we can also produce the snow plan publicly for the public to review as well.
Any additional discussion? Hearing no additional discussion, all in favor of approving this request to advertise for snow removal for 2024-2025, say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Mr. President, the next one is the request for quotes. Well, the Public Works Department, along with some of our engineering department and some of our staff in the community development department, did a request for quotes for a door access system at City Hall for safety, security, and accessibility. The door access system would be for employees that access any door within City Hall. Tracking mechanism will be a cloud-based that is supported through our IT department. The IT department did collect all of those bids, and I'm going to open them in front of the Board of Public Works. All right. So the request for a quotation, a door access control install at City Hall. The first page just talks about the scope, the evaluation criteria. The next several pages are all of the doors that would need the access control, including external and internal doors into departments, as well as our IT closet, our finance inventory room, and again, like I said, external departments, external doors. So the first quote we have is from Imperial Surveillance. This Imperial Surveillance quote comes to a total of $49,878.93. That's $49,878.93. That was the best and most fit quote. We also, where's the other quotes? I know it was a couple other quotes. I got it. I'm almost certain. Sorry, I apologize. The other quotes were from Phil and Son Incorporated Security Technology. That quote was for $53,375.75. That's Phil and Son Incorporated Security Technology for $53,375.75. And we have Imperial Tri Electronics Incorporated was for $78,265. And so those were the three quotes that we have. It's under the $100,000 mark, so public bid is not necessary, but we did receive following quotes. And Imperial was the best bid, lowest bid, and most responsive so far. So a motion to accept Imperial for the door access system.
There's a motion on the floor to accept the bid of Imperial in the amount of $49,878.93. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this matter? May we go to roll call for approval, please?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 opposed, the bid from Imperial for $49,878.93 has been approved.
All right, Mr. President, the final correspondence from the Public Works Department is a refund I will do these. Should I do them separately? Because it's two of them. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I'll do them in two separate motions, Mr. President, because it's two separate, but I'll read the entire memo. The Public Works Department is requesting to refund for Lewis Prince and TJ Chester. Lewis Prince applied for and paid for a disabled parking sign in front of the home, only to discover that the address is not the City of Gary right away. The Lewis Brown would need to be reimbursed $25 because the property he resides in is an apartment complex. And then TJ Chester paid $55 on 8/19/24 for an open air permit for 8/25/24. However, the Special Events Committee did not approve the permit, and we are humbly requesting the $55 to be returned since the open air permit was not approved. So first motion, Mr. President, is to approve the refund for Lewis Prince for the amount of $25 for the disabled parking sign.
There's a motion on the floor to reimburse Lewis Prince for $25 for disabled parking sign. Second for that.
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 5 yes, 0 opposed.
For the vote of 5 yes and 0 opposed, the motion to reimburse Mr. Lewis Prince $25 is approved.
Second motion is to reimburse Mr. TJ Chester for $55 for an open air permit paid on 8/19 for an event on 8/25.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor to reimburse Mr. TJ Chester $55 for an open air permit. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, may we roll call for approval.
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion to reimburse Mr. TJ Chester $55 for an open air permit has been approved. Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, we have correspondence from the engineering department. First item is bid opening for 2000 East Fifth Avenue Bridge painting. It seems that we did not receive any bids. We advertised for quotes, I want to say 4 times, or at least we had 4 notices go out into the paper for this project. So there was interest, but unfortunately, we did not receive any bids to open today. So at this point, I would like to make a motion that we close the bidding portion for this project so that the engineering department may seek quotes to perform this work.
It's a motion on the floor to close the bidding for the bid for the painting. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
I would say the individuals that reached out for the RFP documents were Felix Painting and N.A. Logan. Just for the record.
Just for the record, any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of closing the RFP process, say yes.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next, we have 2 requests to advertise.
Okay.
The first project is street patching and resurfacing, and the other is citywide street light installation. I would like to make a motion that we accept the request to advertise for the 2 projects.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we request for advertisement for projects in regards to streetlight installation and street patching and resurfacing. Any discussion on either of those requests?
Oh, so we chose to split up payment of installation versus material acquisition in order to save money. And we thought that this would be a more efficient, effective way for getting the project done in regards to streetlights. So the first process is making the order for the material, which we'll get to later on in the agenda, and then just purely paying for the labor to install that material that we're purchasing. Pretty much more bang for your buck.
Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, may we have roll call for approval, please?
Do you want to do these separately or package them
The
together?
motion had them together.
just
Okay.
advertising, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 opposed, the request to advertise for the streetlight installation service and the performing patch and asphalt work in the city of Gary have been approved.
Next, we have securing of dump sites with BT Video Systems LLC. The city of Gary has formally requested bids to secure 2 sites to prohibit illegal dumping. And the project includes furnishing and installation of fencing and cameras. In the past, the Board of Works and Safety, the Board of Public Works and Safety recently approved BT Video Systems to install camera technology at the 2 sites located at 1100 Clark Road and 890 Chase Street in the amount of $49,432. However, it was inadvertently missed that we did not include a larger service size and a warranty for the 2 camera systems. So that's resulting in an additional cost of $10,185. The scope and the project location remains the same. The only difference is that the server module that was specified was a size of 12 terabytes when it should have been 32 terabytes, and then a 3-year warranty for the equipment. The 2 items were identified as necessary by the IT and engineering department. It's the recommendation of both departments that we accept BT Video Systems LLC's corrected amount of $59,617.
That's a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation for the corrected amount of $59,617 for BT Video Systems LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the additional $10,185 for BT Video Systems to go to 32 terabytes. The total price now at $59,617. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With 5 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion to increase the cost of $10,185 to give us a total of $59,617 to supply the additional 32 terabytes of coverage has been approved for Klein Avenue and Clark Road. Chase Street and Clark Road.
And the 3-year warranty also with the increase of the.
And the 3-year warranty
Yeah.
also. I didn't hear that part. Thank you.
Thank you. So next we have the purchase of streetlight material. The engineering department received quotations from VSI Ltd, subsidiary of the Will Group, for purchase of street light materials from Electrical Resource Management, also known as ERM. ERM has provided the city with all of its streetlights and fixtures over the past many years, and to maintain continuity, a sole proprietor / original equipment manufacturer claim sheet has been provided. This purchase of material focuses on street poles, fixtures, lamps, and bases for the corridors of Broadway, Grant Street, Fifth Avenue, and Ridge Road. Total cost for each of the corridors is listed below for a total amount of $615,901.07. For the corridor of Broadway, the cost of material is $440,506.55. For the Grant corridor, the cost is $82,544.52. For the Fifth Avenue corridor, total cost is $66,616.66. And then for the Ridge Road corridor, we have $7,233.34. We also have some Helix bases for foundations to be installed within grass areas for a not to exceed amount of $19,000, which gives us approximately 20 in quantity. The total cost again, $615,901.07 for the purchase of material for the 4 corridors throughout the city.
There's a motion on the floor to purchase streetlight material in the total amount of $615,901.07.
I second that motion.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, go ahead.
A couple of questions. One is that we will first identify, I guess, by quote or by quote before we actually purchase them, and then we'll have to also identify the funding source
Yes.
before we can purchase.
So the funding source is going to be the ARPA funds that were approved, the $3.4 million. So that was to include purchase of material and installation.
All right, and then the identification of the vendors.
So the vendor is going to be ERM that we're going to be purchasing the material from, which is consistent with all of our lights that we purchased to date throughout the city.
So did we do the 3 quotes, or did we do a sole source?
Sole source. And that document is included.
Okay, so that's state QPA?
Pardon me?
State QPA?
It was just, no, not a state QPA, but just a sole source document that describes why there's a need for us to maintain continuity with our material that we have for our streetlights throughout the city.
It's in here, okay.
And William, can you explain maybe for the general public why we're just doing corridors at this time for these purchases?
So right now we're focusing on the corridor since that's pretty much the areas that have been identified through the assessment as lights or fixtures that are or areas that are not well lit, and we have a big congestion of street lights and poles. So this is pretty much our big ticket item. We start out here and then we kind of branch out into the residential neighborhoods. We're also having discussions with NIPSCO. Since news came out that we would be addressing our streetlights throughout the city, NIPSCO has come to the table to try and assist us.
So in short, the residents in the residential neighborhoods are still on the list.
Yes.
And are still getting light replacement
Yes.
just a little bit further down. I just want to, because I know it's going to come up.
Yeah.
As soon as we leave, the question, the calls, when is my light going to get done? So I want to make sure that they understand it's still on the timeline.
That is accurate. That's correct.
William,
Yes.
I didn't see a description of the lamp that we're using in this project.
So for Broadway, we'll be using Cobra heads and light poles with a satin or black finish, so that we can continue the aesthetic of what's already been done out on Broadway. For these blocks closer to the City Hall and over there by IUN, all the poles are black, decorative. The ones by IUN have the acorn fixture. The ones out here are decorative with the 2 acorn lights on both sides of the post. These are going to be similar to your 40-foot tall single mast arm pole, but with a black finish on Broadway. Everywhere else, to maintain continuity, they will have a likeness to what's ever already out there.
In appearance, but the light is going to be LED.
Yes, all lights that we're replacing are LED.
Okay, thank you.
Just one more question. I don't know much about lights, but will they also have outlets where if we wanted to plug something in, like Christmas or whatever, there's an outlet for us to plug it in to the poles?
So that will be something that gets added to the poles when we have our installer
Okay.
do like fixes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only replacing a certain amount of poles. We still have the existing ones out there now.
Okay, that you can
So
add it to.
those are going to have to be retrofitted to, have a GFI outlet put in near the top, so that in cases of, events,
Mhm.
decorations, we'll have those capabilities.
Okay, thank you.
I have one little question. If you don't know the exact answer, it's fine. But how much less power does LED tend to use over the old incandescent ones? Like, what percentage will be saved? Is it like they'll use 10% of the amount of power? Or if
I
there's-
don't know exactly.
If there's anyone here who used to work for a utility company who might know.
I would suggest that 10% of the normal consumption is probably ballpark and a reasonable expectation,
Okay. All right.
based on 40 years of utility awareness.
Well, thank you, sir.
So, no more further discussion. Can we have roll call for approval, please?
Member Green, Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 opposed, the request to purchase streetlight material in the amount of $615,901.07. I don't know why I say it like that. Is approved.
Next, we have public right-of-way repair work. The engineering department requested quotes for concrete and asphalt repair work at locations listed below. Locations are 220 West Fifth Avenue, Fifth Avenue between Adams and Broadway. And at the first
Will,
location-
can you turn your microphone on, please?
Sorry about that. Next on the agenda, we have repair work within public right-of-way at 220 West Fifth Avenue, and then Fifth Avenue between Adams and Broadway. For the first location, is to fill a hole that was compromised. We'll fill it with crushed compacted aggregate with asphalt surface patching within the alley near the entrance of the library if you're parking north of the building. The second location, Fifth Avenue between Adams and Broadway, is to eliminate old electrical boxes. We'll just simply fill those in with concrete and then have it flushed with the sidewalk surface. There was a third location at 113 West Fifth Avenue. This is no longer needed so the apron for the alley was disturbed with some construction work that took place sometime in 2023. That has since been corrected. So there is no longer a need to request a quote for that location for work. So for 220 West Fifth Avenue by the library, we had 3 vendors. The first is from R&D Construction 1 Inc. Their cost is $1,200. Second vendor is Pintos Concrete. Their cost is $750. Third vendor is BMW Blacktop LLC. Their cost is $1,700. For the second location of Fifth Avenue between Adams and Broadway, R&D Construction did not submit. Pintos Concrete submitted a cost of $300, and then BMW Blacktop LLC submitted a cost of $500. So Pintos Concrete was found to be the lowest and most responsive, coming in low for both locations, with a total amount of $1,050. And at this time, I would like to make a motion to accept Pintos's two proposals in the amount of $1,050.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept Pintos Concrete estimate of $1,050 to repair 220 West Fifth Avenue in the library parking lot and Fifth Avenue between Adams and Broadway. Any discussion on that motion?
Just that the audience should know it's real hot in here. If we're getting loopy, it's because it's very hot in here. So that's all.
I have a question. There's such a difference in quote price. Are we assured that the scope of the work that's being done by the lowest provider is inclusive of what we're asking to be done?
Yes, they were all given the exact same information, and there were site visits that were conducted.
Any further discussion? May we have roll call for approval?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. The motion carries for Pintos Concrete for $1,050.
Mr. President,
Yes.
there were 3 items that were added to the agenda. Would you like me to address those now or wait until new business?
Please address them now.
Okay. So, first item that we have is a contract for BT Video Systems LLC. Again, we approved their proposal at a previous meeting, and then not too long ago we just approved their corrected amount for securing of the dump sites. This is just a contract for their work between us and them. Again, the not to exceed amount should be 59,000. Where is it? $59,617.
Is there, the motion is to,
Approve the contract between City of Gary and BT Videos Systems LLC.
I second that motion.
it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call on the motion to accept the additional amount for BT Video Systems LLC?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 opposed, the contract addition for BT Video Systems LLC has been approved.
Thank you. Next, we have a contract for Perimeter Security, Inc. They will be taking care of the fencing portion of the securing of the dump sites. Their total dollar amount is unchanged. Again, we, at a previous Board of Works meeting, we accepted their cost for the 2 locations at 1100 Clark Road and 890 Chase Street, not to exceed an amount of $407,259.28. This is the contract that should have accompanied their proposal acceptance. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to accept the contract.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the contract for Perimeter Security from Valparaiso
No, I did not have that.
for securing the project on dump sites in the city of Gary. Any discussion on that motion?
Mr. President, there's no funding source, but I just want to confirm that this is coming from a grant that we received.
I forgot what the total dollar amount of it was. I know it was over $500,000, so we'll still be coming in short of that. Pardon me? Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna say that it was a grant received earlier this year from IDEM, Indiana Department of Environmental Management, for $532,000 and some odd cents. That was going to help us secure the site with fencing as well as video equipment. We did approve at the previous Board of Works the actual quotes. After reviewing, this is just, we did not have the formal contract in front of it, so in order to initiate the formal contract, it had to come back before the Board of Public Works. But the QC-12 and QC-40 were filled out when we provided the quotes.
Any further discussion on this motion? Hearing no further discussion, may we have roll call for approval?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5.
Next, we have the acceptance of Airport Road Improvement Project plans. This project is currently has funding from NDOT or NERC. The project limits is from Klein to Clark Road, and is to resurface and then install lighting throughout the stretch. As I have already mentioned, funding is coming from NDOT and NERC. Is it a requirement that a board accepts these plans? And then it is a matching grant that's being applied to this project. The remaining portion is to be funded by the airport.
There's a motion on the floor to accept the plans for the lighting enhancement for Airport Road. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion on this motion? Do we have any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 opposed, the street light enhancement for Airport Road has been approved.
Thank you. That concludes correspondence from the engineering department.
Next, we have correspondence from the Law Department, beginning with the contract for professional services from Helios Consulting, who provides services to our city council. Attorney Marco Molina is going to provide some details.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
On the Helios contract, it is a consulting contract, valid from August 1st to the end of the year. It is a flat fee contract for $2,000 a month. They will help provide an agenda for the Erie County Council for next year's legislative session. They'll attend interim session meetings this year, and they'll monitor the Erie County Council.
Marco, is that microphone on?
You gotta push it down.
Oh, it's there. It was on, but yeah, I think it
Okay,
was.
I think
clicked
it's
in all the
better
way.
now.
Yes. Okay. So basically, the consulting will deal with the General Assembly. It's a not to exceed amount of $15,000. If anyone has any questions, I'm certainly happy to answer them.
Any additional discussion?
I move that we accept the contract for Helios Consulting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the contract for Helios Consulting not to exceed 15,000 even. Any discussion? May we have roll call for approval?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 opposed, the contract for professional services for Helios Construction has been approved.
Next, Mr. President, a number of items were added to the agenda for today that are mostly from the Law Department. So next we have No Limit Living, Amani Alice. It's an ARPA grant. This actually had been part of the previous round of ARPA grants that the board had been approving in about March. And so there were some questions on No Limit Living's applications that have since been clarified. I believe the grant amount is $7,500. Is that correct, Attorney Molina? Okay. It's an ARPA grant for $7,500. The owner, Ms. Ellis, has signed the grant agreement, and so I move for approval of the grant agreement as written.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to accept the grant agreement for No Limit Living LLC in the amount of $7,500. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 opposed, the agreement funding for No Limited Living LLC with a grant of $7,500 has been approved.
Mr. President, next we have a revision to the Love Your Block subaward agreement with Johns Hopkins University. This contract was previously approved by the Board of Works on July 24, 2024, but the contractor, Johns Hopkins University, didn't sign that agreement and requested 2 changes. According to the board, I'm going to ask the board to make a motion to rescind the previous contract and then a motion to approve the current contract. The 2 changes requested were that the city our previous agreement just addressed this year, which is a $50,000 award from Johns Hopkins. The amended agreement is going to acknowledge that Johns Hopkins University will pay the city a total of $100,000 over 2 years, so that's a positive development, obviously. The second change was in section 2.3, and we're removing the word estimated and putting that the contract is for a fixed term from May 2024 and ending April 30th, 2026. I move that we first rescind the previously approved contract with for the Love Your Block Award with Johns Hopkins University that we approved on July 24th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we rescind the contract for the Love Your Block Award that was awarded on July 24th, 2024. Any discussion on that motion? Let's have roll call for approval.
Member Green, Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 opposed, we rescinded the contract for Love Thy Block approved previously on 7/24/2024.
Mr. President, I now move that we accept the updated agreement that acknowledges that Johns Hopkins University will pay the city a total of $100,000 over 2 years, and the contract will be for a term from May 2024 through April 30th, 2026.
It's been a motion to accept the contract authorizing that Johns Hopkins has supplied the money. Is there a motion, a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 opposed, we have reapproved the Love Your Block, a grant from Johns Hopkins University in a total amount of $100,000 over a 2-year period.
Mr. President, next we have the settlement of a lawsuit, Lewis Brown versus City of Gary, which is federal case cause number 23 CV 00090. We actually approved the settlement of this case back in February of 2024, but within that agreement was a provision that the attorney who represented Lewis Brown, who's Keith Carlson from Carson, Garza McQuarrie LLC, would receive a $5,000 payment from his work. When we did the motion previously, we didn't separately approve that $5,000 payment to be made to Attorney Carlson. So I move that per the terms of the previously approved settlement in this matter, that we approve payment to Keith Carlson of Carson, Garza McQuarrie, in the amount of $5,000.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the payment for Carlson McQuarrie LLC for the law duties of $5,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this matter? Hearing no discussion, can we go to roll call for approval?
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 against, the amount of $5,000 to Keith Carlson of Bolingbrook, Illinois, has been approved.
Mr. President, next we have the Greyhound lease agreement. And just note that in new business, I'm going to also bring up the fact that there is a pending agreement between the city and Gary Public Transit that's related to this agreement. But the Greyhound lease agreement provides for Greyhound to use space at the Gary Metro Center, which is managed by the Gary Public Transit Corporation. The attorney for GPTC is the audience, Attorney White. Would you approach the board and if you would speak on that microphone, make sure that the green light is on, and just kind of give a brief overview of the Greyhound lease agreement and why it's so important to get done now.
Good morning, everyone. Gary Public Transportation Corporation has been managing the Gary Metro Center since it was first constructed. And part of that management is working with the city to bring in new leaseholders for the benefit of the city. Greyhound has had a lease where they had a kind of subservice coming through Gary since 1985 that had not been renegotiated until we began renegotiating it at the end of last year. We have gone to the table with them to increase. I don't know if you guys have seen that they've already announced that they're leaving Chicago. This morning there was a story that Chicago's trying to help them find a place. They don't know that we've already negotiated for them to bring all of their services here to our city. It will increase our ridership. It will increase the footprint of the surface transit that we're doing here, and with the coming intermodal facility that's going to be coming in the future, they can certainly increase the value of the city and that system. And so we've negotiated this contract by which they are going to bring in maintenance. They are going to be bringing in probably about 500 new riders a day, moving their main operations from Chicago to Gary. And with that, in this agreement, they are going to be providing some local match dollars that will allow GPTC to access some federal grant dollars that we have. We have to have local match to do that. And then we can use that money to upgrade the bathrooms, fix, as you know, the escalator has not been working in a long time. And now with this increase in ridership, we certainly need to have more ways to be ADA compliant. Legally, we need to do that because we only have the one elevator now. And so with the Metro operating agreement, it allows us to access the federal funds. With the Greyhound agreement, it allows them to give us match money to do that for the city, as well as we negotiated that instead of the city having to be completely responsible for all the security at the Metro Center, the maintenance at the Metro Center, Greyhound is going to we're going to be billing them to give us 24-hour security, no less than 24-hour security maybe as much. Now we have an agreement for 48 hours. As well as they're going to be bringing their chairs and kind of revamping that second floor waiting area from what they have in Chicago, a much more modern look. And so it's necessary for us to pass this right now because we've been going through it for a long time, and they are now at the point where they've told Chicago they're leaving. They want to begin service next week. They want to get in this week to just try to start making those changes, but they like to start giving out vouchers and getting their operations going by next week. So probably by the week after Labor Day, we would have operations with Greyhound in the city of Gary.
Okay. A couple questions. So they'll be paying you $11,500. They'll be paying into
The
an
city.
account $11,500.
Yes.
Okay, and that's per month for the duration of
That's
the.
per month, and that is up from the 15, not even, it was like $12.85 that they had been paying since 1985. So we were really being underpaid, and now they're going to be paying the $11,500 every month. That will go into the Metro account that is owned by the city.
Okay, and then with that, with the money that you can get from FTA and other sources, is that an 80-20 match, or how much
It's an
federal money
80-20
does
match.
that open up?
Yes, it's
Okay.
an 80-20 match.
So for the $11,500, Gary Public Transit can then access 4 times that amount of money, correct?
We are still researching whether or not the rent money can be used as local match. However, there's going to be some finessing we'd have to do with Ms. Green and with administration for it to come in and then come back. However, in the agreement, they're going to give us upfront, the moment this is signed, local match money of almost $300,000.
The $289,000.
Yes, and that will allow us to draw down millions of dollars,
Okay.
by which we can use to do the things that we talked about and other things.
Okay. Are there other?
Just one question, and you probably said this and I just didn't hear it. Will there be a increased customer service presence for Greyhound there to cover around the clock for?
Yes, they are going to increase. In fact, we are renting them office space for some of their management on the second floor. They are going to, so they'll always have someone there all the time. They're going to increase their ticketing and their customer service downstairs. Ms. Dillard, who is our interim GM, has discussed with them other things like partnering with some of the local hotels in case that there's any services that they've got to give vouchers to people overnight, increasing an area that we have plenty of space right now in the Metro building, but increasing the area by which you can get healthy things, snacks and things like that, like maybe a waiting area where in case they have to be there late and they can access food. I mean, that's something we can find detail later, but she certainly talked to them about the need to have a greater presence there for their ridership for the city.
I think Ms. Dillard talked about having a ticket window, the staff, and then a kind of a mini mart where people can access food and other things you customarily need when you travel.
Okay, thank you.
And just as an aside, we also talked to them, and we might be able to get them, because they're very amenable, because they really need to get here, about maybe even doing like internet cafe or something like. We've got space to do those kinds of things as well.
Okay. Any further? Go ahead, please.
No, if there are no further questions before the motion, I'm going to make the motion.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I move that we approve the lease agreement for Greyhound Lines to occupy space at the Gary Metro Center.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agreement for Greyhound to lease space at the Gary Metro Center. Any discussion? Hearing none, may we have roll call for approval?
Member Green? Yes. Member Allen?
Yes.
Secretary Morgan?
Yes.
Vice President Dumas?
Yes.
President Suggs?
Yes.
Mr. President, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
So the vote of 5 in favor and 0 opposed, the agreement for Metro Center and Greyhounds for space has been approved.
That concludes correspondence from the law department, but I'm going to ask Attorney White to come back when we get to new business.
Okay. I think we have one more correspondence
Yes.
from legal, from police department, retirement letter.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a retirement notice from Chief Cannon for Sergeant Darlene, I think it's Breitenstein. Say it louder. Bartenstein. Okay. We regretfully submit the retirement notice of Sergeant Darlene Breitenstein. Okay. CIN 1286. She began her employment as a police officer for the city of Gary on June 30th, 1994, totaling 30 years of service. She retired from her position effective August 24th, 2024. Attached here too is a retirement notice. Should you require any additional information, contact our office. So I move that we accept the retirement notice for her, and just thank you very much for your 30 years of dedicated service to the people of Gary.
It's a motion on the floor to accept the retirement.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations and thank you for your service, Ms. Breitenstein.
We apologize for what I did to your name.
Since we're loopy already. Let's move on to item number 6 on our agenda, unfinished business. Is there any new business to go for the board?
Yes, sir, there sure is. And I'd like to ask Attorney White to come back up. So what we have is an operating agreement between the City of Gary and Gary Public Transit for the management of the Adam Benjamin Metro Center property. So again, as Attorney White touched on, it's been several decades since these agreements have been updated. And so what we have is an agreement whereby Gary Public Transit will continue in its management of the Gary Metro Center. In exchange for their management, there's no lease amount that Gary Public Transit itself will be making to the city, but they'll be depositing rents and other revenues they get into a Gary Metro Center account. And I'm gonna let Attorney White discuss it.
Yes, as I stated before, the Gary Public Transportation Corporation has been housed at the Gary Metro Center since it was first built. It is my understanding through the history of it that the FTA used federal funds to create that, and there was, I believe, a consent decree with, back then, the Hatcher administration to construct the Metro Center and to house Gary Public Transportation Corporation to facilitate surface transit for not only the city but for the region. We have always had a Metro operating agreement by which it basically says that we work with the city. We don't approve anything that the city doesn't approve. It's still your building as well. We just manage it. And this operating agreement allows us to, the reason why it's so important is because back in 2018 was the last time we put like $2.1 million in the Metro System Center. This operating agreement will allow us to use local match dollars that we get from other places, as well as from Gary, as well as from Greyhound, now that that agreement is approved, to actually be able to make capital improvements to the Metro Center, as we talked about earlier, in terms of like upgrading the bathrooms so that there's sufficient bathrooms for this increase in ridership, as well as repairing that escalator so we have another form by which people can get up to the second floor other than just that one elevator and walking. And so that is why it's so urgent for us to get this Metro operating agreement in place, because with the Greyhound lease in place and them giving us the local match dollars, we can begin to pull down the grant dollars right away and do these capital improvements.
If the Board of Works approves this today, how soon will your board approve it and
We have a
everything
meeting
is-
next week, but our board has voted on the approval already, so it's really just a matter of us, once we get your signature, sending that to Greyhound, they're gonna come in right away. Once they give us the local match dollars, we can start. We've already kind of preempted doing our procurement for those services.
Okay. One side note is we had discussion with the city controller this morning, who oversees that Metro Center account, and there's some particulars that she'd like added to the contract, so we're gonna draw that up as an addendum we anticipate approving it at our next meeting and then passing it on to you and your board to approve it at hopefully your next meeting. So.
No problem. I did review it. I will say that although I was clerk treasurer before, so I know a little bit about finance, I prefer our controller and our financial consultant to go over the processes. But it's the city's account. We just have been managing it for you guys, and it's only been to do small repairs in the building or things that we need. Oftentimes, because we were getting such low rent, oftentimes the city still ended up having to like repair the elevator the last time and things like that. But now with Greyhound coming in and having more money, it's going to really take a burden off the city. We probably won't have to do much of anything.
All right, so with that, I move that we approve the operating agreement between the City of Gary and Gary Public Transit for a 5-year term beginning, actually retroactive to this January 1st.
Okay.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the agreement between Gary Transit and the City of Gary for a contract from January 2024 through December of 2029. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a lot of discussion. I guess in the agreement, as I review it, there is no cost or the lease agreement doesn't speak to a specific dollar amount that's being paid to the city. And I think the understanding that I have so far is the city covers all the utilities and insurance.
No, actually, that was changed. So if we go to get to the right page. If we go to page 4, so related expenses. So for paragraph 2, subparagraph B, GPTC shall provide for security for the Metro Center, contract and pay for building maintenance and cleaning supplies. GPTC shall handle and provide for trash removal, and GPTC shall pay all utilities which are customary and necessary for the efficient operation of the Metro Center. So that provision had been changed. Are there other questions?
What about so I had it on insurance costs for Metro Center?
So the city as the owner is responsible for the insurance costs of the Metro Center. Now, Greyhound itself does have some insurance. I think it's $1 million policy, $1 million per incident.
I think they may have more than that. I think the city is required to keep it. I think it's spelled out in here.
Yeah.
$1 million or $2 million policy for the building because the building does belong to the city. Yeah. I had not seen these changes. I don't know. We may need to discuss the utility part. The rest of it, I don't think is going to be an issue. Previously, the city did do all of these things because it is their building, and we're not the only occupants in that building. NICD is also a huge occupant in that building. I'm not sure if they're paying the city anything. They certainly don't pay anything to the Metro account. But in terms of the utilities, that might be something the board, because that was, and we need to check with FTA whether or not, because
okay,
we discussed it before in terms of just our offices.
There was discussion between the mayor and Ms. Dillard this morning, and those changes are reflected in the current agreement. So I understand that there were a lot of last-minute discussions. So here's my suggestion, because I know it's important that we approve something, knowing that we're gonna put more parameters around the financial provisions or the reporting between GPTC and the City Controller's Office. Why don't we have discussions about those points that you're mentioning now, and those can be addressed in any addendum that we do.
That would be fine, because I just wouldn't want to, because FTA runs us, I wouldn't want to agree to something that is contrary to the federal rules in terms of us paying for all the utilities for an entire building that other people occupy other than GPTC. And the way we looked at it before, there is no separate breaker to show what we just using on the third floor. There's a bunch of other people there.
Yeah, there's a severability clause that says if any provision of this agreement shall be held to be invalid or otherwise unenforceable in whole or in part by a court of competent jurisdiction, the remainder of the provisions or enforceable parts hereof shall not be affected thereby and shall remain in full force and effect and shall be enforced to the fullest extent permitted by law. So with that, if there's a provision the FTA says, hey, and the FTA is federal, and so they take precedence over everything. And I know you know, I'm just saying affirmative. Then it's already null and void. But we'll sit down and have those discussions here within the next week, so that any addendum addresses anything that may be an issue.
Okay, all right. That's fine, as long as we can, have discussion about it, because I know the board is not aware, and I know Ms. Dillard spoke, but I know they're not aware, and that came up in the Prince administration, and it was a no. So I've been the attorney through like 4 GMs, and I just want to be sure that we are all on one accord and that we're doing what we can do legally.
Okay.
Okay,
I understand.
okay.
So, I think we already made the motion, and so we're now on discussion. So are there any other questions?
Any further discussion on this matter?
No, I just like to be part of the discussion because I'm interested as to why other tenants are not paying a portion of the lease.
Okay.
None of them. Right now. So. Nikki is being the biggest one.
Right.
Before we do some clarification, it seems like there's a little lack of clarity in this final agreement. And I'm wondering, is this something that I understand that it's emergency? But
Mr. Suggs, can you turn your microphone on, please?
thank you.
So,
Me, Termina.
I understand where you're going, but any clarification needed or any tweaks can be addressed in the addendum. But if we don't get this approved, then there's going to be a cascade effect that's negative for the Metro Center.
For the Greyhound lease. Oh, sorry. For the Greyhound lease, because in order for us to sign off on the Greyhound lease, we need to have the operating lease in effect, at least in order for us to use the federal dollars to do the things that we have now contracted that we would do with Greyhound. So we have to have that in place per FTA rules in order for us to do the Greyhound portion. And that's why we're moving to get it done right away. I am more than willing to, like I said, talk about it in the addendum and, get with the board and get with Ms. Green. The utilities is the only thing that I know is going to be an issue that we have to discuss because of how many other people are located in that building.
Is there an agreement between Gary Public Transit and NICD at all? Any written
I
agreement?
have not seen one. I have inquired in past administrations as to what is the agreement, because they don't pay us. The other vendors in the building who've been there in the past have paid us. It's gone into the Metro account. I wondered whether or not the city had something with NICD, with South Shore Line, especially when they were doing the double track portion and they were busing people from Dunes and LaPorte through Metro. They were taking our slips and interrupting our, the flow of Greyhound and GPTC, and did not talk to us about it. So I think that's something that you guys might want to look into, because they certainly have deeper pockets to pay the utilities, and they've been there forever.
Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, may we have roll call for approval?
Member Green, Member Allen,
Yes.
Secretary Morgan,
Yes.
Vice President Dumas,
Yes.
President Suggs.
No.
All right, Mr. President, we have 4 in favor, 1 opposed.
With a vote of 4 in favor and 1 opposed, the motion carries.
That is all from legal.
Trent, do we have anyone in queue for public comments?
Checking public comment now. No, sir, I see no one in public comment.
As I look at the list for public comments in here, I don't see any names. Is there anyone here who would like to speak before the board? Seeing, hearing none, can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
The meeting has adjourned.
Thank you.
Long as